Ding, 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 ding. Do you guys know that Airbnb is going public on December 10th, reportedly at a valuation of $35 billion. Welcome back to the channel, Ziming here. If you're new here from TikTok, this is where I'll be doing more in-depth analysis of companies and stocks and just sharing my journey of learning about investing. In this video, I'll be sharing what I plan to do with the soon-to-be Airbnb stock and exactly how I came to that conclusion. So stay tuned. Alright, let's first start with business overview. Airbnb's core business is providing short-term rentals. It is a platform that lets homeowners around the world to rent out their homes and host travelers on the other side that will book these unique short-term stays. The company also has ambitious expansions like Airbnb Experiences that we'll talk about later in this video. Now, you should know that this is not a small company anymore. In 2019, Airbnb garnered a gross booking value of $38 billion, and that is already roughly 6% of the $600 billion revenue for the global hotel industry. The actual revenue in 2019 for Airbnb is $4.8 billion, up 32% year over year from 2018. Unlike other unicorns from its generation, Airbnb actually generated $520 million in cumulative positive free cash flow. Now, I want to give this before COVID overview of Airbnb's business because we are going to get into COVID right after and how that leads into my thoughts about Airbnb's future. If you like this video so far, please smash the like button for me as it really helps the YouTube algorithm. Whew. I have to guess a lot of people at Airbnb probably wish this company has gone public a year sooner. After all, in 2019, this is a business on top of its game, disrupting the entire hotel industry and bringing in substantial revenue from its core business, and has massive expansion plan ahead of it. And then what happens? A once in a 100-year event of the Rona. You can't possibly think of any worse that can happen in the business Airbnb is in, right? So here's everything that happens. In April, that is the worst month, bookings for Airbnb dropped 72%. And then Brian Chesky, being the visionary CEO he is, even he is scared, and he should be, because the 72% drop in April, who knows how bad it could get going forward and how long this pandemic can last, right? And then in April and May, Airbnb raised $2 billion in a combination of debt and equity, with mostly debt. And the equity was raised at an $18 billion valuation. That is down massively from the company's 2017 valuation. I mean, at an emergency time like this, they really needed the liquidity and the cash to be able to make sure they can weather through the storm and react to whatever that happens next, right? It didn't stop there. In May, the worst happens. Airbnb announced its layoff of 1,900 employees, 25% of the company. All the employees walking out did get a very handsome exit package. Was this a very difficult decision for Brian to make? Yes. Did the layoff end up hurting company culture and cohesion? Also yes. But I have to say, as an investor, this allowed Airbnb to trim a lot of the fat, and when travel comes back, it will allow the company to be much more efficient and more profitable. Well, this is exactly what happened. In Q3 of 2020, Airbnb saw a massive bounce back in the business, and revenue only ended up being down 20% from 2019. Think about this. Airbnb made 80% of the revenue in the middle of the pandemic compared to last year. On top of that, thanks to the layoff and the massive cut in marketing expense, the company ended up with $219 million in net income. How did that comeback happen? Well, during the time of Rona, travel behaviors are changing. The truth is, a lot less people want to go to a big city, and a lot less people want to stay in the hotels that are the super spreaders. What we saw is a massive jump in shorter distance stays, a massive jump in longer stays, and a massive jump in travels to outside top 20 cities. A lot of people needed a break from the endless quarantine and just want to get away with their close friends and families. And Airbnb is in the perfect position to capitalize on that. And honestly, trends like staycations and remote work are going to last beyond the pandemic. More details on that later. Here's my take on Airbnb's business going forward. Let's start with my likes. The first being Airbnb's strong moat and their dominant position in the travel market. Unlike other unicorns like Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash, Airbnb actually has a global network effect. From anybody trying to travel from Austin, Texas, they actually need to have options from all over the world. In order to offer the most to hosts, it's the same, right? You need to be able to attract travelers from all over the world. That's why creating a true competitor for Airbnb will be so difficult. Frankly, I don't see it happening, right? The US, Europe, Asia might have local competitors, but a truly global competitor coming out now against Airbnb is highly unlikely. On top of that, Airbnb has already built such an iconic brand. You know that you're the face of a category when the name of your company becomes a verb, right? I'm going to Airbnb this, I'm going to Airbnb that. It's no different than Apple or Lululemon. Being the face of a category allows you to command a premium over the rest of the market. And second, they have an extremely resilient business model. The Rona, look, it's the worst possible disaster that can happen to the travel industry. But it hit all their competitors much harder than they did to Airbnb, right? Precisely because the nature of Airbnb allows it to be much more flexible, and frankly, they're much better set up for what the future of travel looks like versus the past. They survived this pandemic, had to cut costs, and honestly, got leaner and is ready to come back stronger than any of its competitors. The third thing I love about Airbnb is the fantastic management, specifically their CEO, Brian Chesky. If you haven't listened to any of Brian's interview, go check it out now. Spend a few hours listening to him. If the CEO of the company can't even sell you on his vision, you should not put a single cent into this stock. Personally, I think it's thoughtful and honest, and over the last few years of watching him, I think he demonstrated growth and maturity. To be honest, it is not easy running a business like Airbnb that is a two-sided marketplace where you have to please both the host and the guest. And that's just a hard balance to maintain, and I think he has done a great job. And lastly, this year, he demonstrated that he can make difficult decisions at very difficult times. The next part is what I'm really excited about. That is the future opportunities for Airbnb. That's right, let's talk about Airbnb Experiences. I really think this is an idea that has the potential to define the future of travel. I wouldn't be surprised if most of you don't even know what it is yet. Essentially, on Airbnb Experiences, you can book unique cultural experiences or nature-related experiences hosted by individuals. Doing a quick search in my area of LA, Orange County, we have kayak, we have the Hollywood Sign Tour, we have horseback riding for $65. Honestly, I'm down. We have Jeep Safari, we have, oh my god, honeybee therapy for $35 a person. That is dope. We have also SoCal balloon ride for $190 per person. That is sick. We have pottery wheel lesson in outdoor studios for $60 per person for 2 hours. Oh my god. Hot spring hike with photographer, Hollywood Sign Tour. Guys, so many of these sound amazing. It's obvious that the experiences has been hit harder than even the core business of stays. And I think it would take years for this business to materialize and become significant, since they are basically creating a market and a behavior that hasn't existed before. You can see how different this is than compared to what tourism used to be. But more importantly, I am rooting for their success because this represents a future where regular people, you and me, can build a real business out of their passion, right? This will allow people to monetize and make a living out of what they love to do. Second obvious move I see is for Airbnb to become more like hotels going forward. Because in order to keep growing in the core hospitality market, they have to be able to offer diversified products that offer consistent amenities that attracts the normal hotel stayers. So as an investor in the next 5 years, I want to see more Airbnb owned and operated properties. Airbnb is perfectly set up for what I call the work anywhere future. I really see remote work continuing beyond the pandemic, especially in tech, consulting, and sales, right? Already seen companies like Twitter announcing permanent remote work. This will mean that a lot of these high-paying individuals can basically work anywhere they want. And what Airbnb can do is offer flexible, longer-term stays with amenities like co-working and gym that's more suitable for a long-term lifestyle. I can see them buying some distressed hotel assets. I can see them going forward developing their own properties, small villas in remote destinations away from city around the world. That is 5 to 10 residencies with shared gym and co-working space that's managed and sanitized by Airbnb. They can even take this a step further, offering the Airbnb Work Anywhere subscription that for a fixed price, you can basically live at any of these chosen Airbnb rent destinations however long you want in Airbnb managed communities with consistent amenities basically. They just need to do it for cheaper than the rent of San Francisco and New York and other first tier cities. Next up, let's talk about some risks and concerns. First of all, you guys should know that my favorite type of company to invest is the most dominant player in a really fast growing industry. In the case of Airbnb though, the travel industry is basically a low to no growth industry. So it will be harder for Airbnb to have outsized growth compared to other companies in fast growing industries. The second concern you should have is that it is a two-way marketplace, that it is very tough to balance the interests of the host and the guest. They have always said that trust is the core of this business, and the trust is delicate as they have gone through some issues this year with the refunds between the host and the guest. And the third concern you should be aware of is the likely never-ending regulatory battle between Airbnb and the local jurisdictions. I mean, to this date, they're still banned in New York City, and in the long term, it will eat into Airbnb's margin and profitability. And the last concern I want to bring up is that they can fail to execute future opportunities, as in order to grow their revenue from 4 billion that is now to 10 billion, 15 billions, 20 billions, they will have to be able to grow beyond their proven core business. And that's largely what I am betting on, and depends on your view of the CEO, the industry, and their brand. You might have different conclusions. And finally, we get to the IPO. From latest sources, according to the Nasdaq, it is coming out on December 10th, reportedly coming out at a $35 billion valuation. And to me, it is low. Actually, it is low. I will be very surprised if the IPO doesn't pop at least double digits on the first day. Even triple digits, over 100%, it's possible. Look, anything is possible, right? Most IPOs actually go down in the next 6 to 12 months after they come out to public, but this is a must-own for me, as I think Airbnb is really once of a generation company, so I'm not gonna risk it being a Palantir situation. And honestly, as long as it comes out under 50 billion, I'm buying at least 20K on day one. If it comes out anywhere near the $35 billion valuation, I'm buying more. That's buy for me, right? And in the next 6 to 12 months, I see myself building at least a 50K position in Airbnb, making it one of my top 6 to 7 holdings. For me, it's for the stock to actually go down after IPO so I can build an even bigger position at lower prices. If you want to see more real-time updates on my move on Airbnb, make sure to follow my TikTok down below and check out my Patreon. I just got my Patreon set up, second link down below. I will be posting every single move I make in the main portfolio that I manage, weekly updates on my entire portfolio. All of that is in the $10 all access tier. I will also be making a private Discord in the coming week for any tier you subscribe to. If that's something you're interested in, definitely check out the link down below. Now, what kind of growth am I expecting? I think they're gonna at least 5 to 10x in revenue in the next 10 years. 5x if they grow closer to 20% per year, and 10x if they grow above 30% per year, right? And for my expected return on the stock, I think if I get it anywhere close to that 30 billion valuation, it is definitely realistic to have a 10x return in the next 10 years. However, if it somehow comes out trading way above that in like 80 to 100 billion valuation, at that price, then 10x return is much, much less likely. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys in the next one.